It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another post. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat. A miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Oh, good morning. Paul Cochran with you. Season 2 of the Sprint Lane. We're back. Jess and Freddie, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Good to be here.
We haven't seen each other for so long. It's like Welcome Back Cotter should be playing or something like that. Welcome
Something.
back.
I remember that show. Jeez.
Yeah.
Way before Jess's time.
No
There's
idea.
another one.
Yeah, I thought
another
so.
one.
Another
that I've got
example.
no
And
idea.
our guest wouldn't even have a clue.
Managed to be ageist
Although if
on
we
this
said
show,
who one of
Freddie.
the stars were, I bet both ladies would know that a very youthful John Travolta was in Welcome Back Cotter.
Grease Lightning.
Speaking of both ladies, we've got Grace Panella on the show with us. Welcome, Grace.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, you're driving at Menangle today, but I managed to con you into getting here a little bit earlier to join us on the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah, well, I had to get out of work early, but Clayton decided to let me go this week, so yeah, I was happy to take it.
Clayton would be an easy pushover, wouldn't he?
Oh, he just wanted me to come so he could pick on me about it tomorrow.
No, it's good. How was your break, Jess?
Yeah, it was really good. I went to a few sporting events. I managed to see Rafael Nadal in Sydney, which was good, and kept up with...
Swooning, were we?
Yeah.
He got beat, didn't he?
He did get beat by Alex Demon or by the Aussie, so
Demon.
that was good to see.
Right. How was yours, Freddie?
Busy.
You're still on it, aren't you?
Busy. Oh, no, I'm back.
Well, you're back today.
Back today, but I've a few bit of an intermittent break because I'm in the middle of house moving, and isn't that the lowest rotten job there is on the history of the world?
Yeah,
There's
no
that,
fun.
moving house and painting. No good. And I'm going to be doing both over the next probably month.
Santa find you?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Santa was kind. The waistline expanded after a bit too much Christmas cheer, but I think we all can be guilty of that.
How'd you go, Jess?
Yeah, I did.
Fill up
very
on the
good.
stocking?
Yeah, definitely filled up on the stocking. I had a very good Christmas.
Nice. What about you, Gracie? We were all talking about our break. You're a driver, so you don't get a break.
I had Christmas Day off, but that was enough. I sort of got a little bit bored, but yeah, definitely filled up just about here. But yeah, I was definitely in a food coma for the next week.
Yeah, well, because Maitland was on, and there was plenty of racing.
Never stopped. Really.
Maitland, we had Bathurst on Boxing Day with the Shirley Turnbull. We had...
there was
plenty going on.
Plenty on.
Yeah. All right. Well, Grace, you drove at Tamworth the other night. Obviously, you had plenty of drives up there. It's a great carnival, isn't it? That Golden Guitar Carnival.
It is, and all the locals and the Hunter region really look forward to it because that's sort of the biggest couple of races we have, other than the inner city. But this time of the year, everyone's really pumped up. They have their horses right and ready to go. So, yeah, it's looking to be a really good carnival. After the heats 2 days ago, the final looks really strong, and I can't wait to watch it.
I was there last year. It was my first time I've been at the Golden Guitar Carnival. I thought it was fantastic. They've got another great carnival coming up this weekend, this Friday night. We're going to try something different. We're going to get someone on the phone. We're wanting to do this for a little while. I've got Michael Jones from the Tamworth Club on the line. Michael, welcome.
Hi, Paul. Glad to be with you.
That slight pause had me nervous.
You should have seen your face.
It's all right. I've been listening to you. You told me I wouldn't be able to hear you, but I've been listening to you.
Well, there's a technical glitch you've just exposed to the world right away. It's fantastic. Look, Michael, we've just been talking about, obviously you said you just heard us, we love the Tamworth Carnival. This one promises to be a really good night, doesn't it, Friday night?
Yeah, well, it's looking like, the fields have been drawn this morning in Sydney, and it's looking like we've got a 9-race meeting this Friday night. All the feature races have held up, and we'll get a second division of the tab race that we've got on the program. The second division doesn't count towards the bonus series, but we're able to get that extra race in from that one.
How's the weather, mate? That's what's important. I know it can get stinking hot up there.
The weather, don't talk about the weather. Yes, well, we had continuous rain, the same as everybody, and then in early December or whenever it was, it just turned off, and it just hasn't rained since. 1 or 2 mil every now and then. It's been mid-30s all for the last week or two. So we're just hoping for a little shower of rain in the next day or two, which is forecast, but whether it'll come or not. But even Grace would probably tell you on Sunday night here at the Heat, there was quite a nice breeze blowing in from the east, so it wasn't as hot as it could have been. It was quite pleasant out, actually. So.
It's like we've got Tim Bailey on the line. Mate, if we wanted to ring you up and talk about the weather, we could have done this day in, day out.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I comment on that on my weather reports on our race meeting report. Yeah.
Look, mate, have we... Obviously, it's a great time of year in Tamworth. You know, the Country Music Festival's on. My big question is, have you managed to drag yourself away from the line dancing long enough to put on a race meet?
I haven't seen the line dancing. Sorry, haven't had time.
Mate, okay, that's the narrative we want to go with. I've seen you with your crocodile skin boots and your
right.
A Cobra.
Yes, a Cobra in Australia. I was up there a few years ago for another job I was doing. We were sort of activating a stall at and I walked away with a Cobra. So they do get you. There's no doubt about it. You can get caught up in it. Jess, I reckon that'd be your scene, wouldn't it?
The country music scene.
Oh,
I'm not
you'd love that festival.
Not too sure about that.
Forget the music, the vibe.
No, I think it's a great carnival up there. I'd love to get to a golden guitar one day. But Michael, for people heading out to the track, what can they expect?
Oh, well, we've got as well as our 9 races, we've got the mini trotters will be racing after race 1 and race 2, and then we've got our very popular dash hand races on again. So I haven't seen the noms for that, but I'm assuming there'll be 2 or 3 of those races. We've also got the bucking mad cow coming along for people to try their skills on that.
Let's keep the language clean on this program, please, Mike.
No, it was bucking.
Yes.
And then we've got our regular. We always have the vintage fire engines because they have their workshop here on the Paceway, and so they're always really keen to do a display when we have a feature race meeting. So they'll have 6 or 7 of their antique fire engines going around the track after one of the races, doing a bit of a parade of those. And other than that, there's face painting for the kids, plenty of food and plenty of drink.
What sort of crowd are you anticipating, Michael? And you just touched on the food and the hospitality side of it, but in terms of the crowd, it's a race meeting that has grown in stature dramatically over the past, I would say, maybe decade. Yep. What sort of crowd are you expecting?
Oh, I don't know in numbers, but we would expect that we'll have the grandstand packed out this year, so we haven't got COVID anymore. Mm-hmm. The last 2 years have been a bit different, obviously. Yeah. This is actually the 39th running of the Golden Guitar Carnival this year. So,
it's just got bigger and bigger, but
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good crowd last year. Those hounds. Those poochers bought a new. I
just want to see you get on the bucking bull, cow,
with
bronco,
your Akubra on,
with the Akubra.
Away you go.
Yeah, I think we should get that on. We should get the camera crew to focus on that.
There's a bit of media out there last year actually because the dogs. Now the big question, Michael, beyond me asking you about your line dancing prowess, is Gracie's missed noms. She's missed the early pre-noms for the Dashhound race. Can she still get her little 4-legger with a waggy tail in?
I'm sure she could.
What are we dealing with, Grace? Run us through the pooch setup.
Oh, I got 3.
Right.
So,
you could fill a whole
Leviathan.
Taking a whole team up.
Can you fit 3 into the non-pole?
I do have a 3-horse float, so they can all fit. But one's petrified of other dogs, so hopefully you'll just run a little bit quicker. And one just loves the attention, so one run from one human to another. All so right. We'll see how we go.
Runs from one human to another. That's the way these races are set up. That might actually work in its favour.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. She's pretty quick, especially if you're offering food at the very end.
Right. Is there one that we should be if we? We can have a bet on these things. I'm sure I can't bet on the hardest racing. So steer me into something on the dogs.
I'm going for Miguel. She's pretty quick.
What's her name?
Her name's Willow.
Willow.
She's a brown dapple, and she's
Willow
pretty
the
quick.
Wonder Dog.
That's it.
Right. Okay. Punters, get around Willow in the dogs race as long as Michael accepts Grace's. Is there a fee for late noms?
Late noms, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, mate, we wish you the best of luck. We're going to have a chat a little bit here about the racing side of things because the racing was really strong through the heats and qualifiers. Yep. I know that there'll be a lot of eyeballs on the race meet because obviously it carries double points for fantasy harness racing as well, and we're going to talk a little bit about fantasy harness racing as we go through the show. But it should be a great meet. It always is, and we see. We see some of the big guns turn up in town too. I know that Cameron Hart has flagged that he'll be there. Will Rickson won that race last year, so there's some. We see high caliber racing happen on one of the. I love going to Tamworth. I think it's a really cool destination type place, and we're going to get a good crowd there, and hopefully we get a lot of the people who are maybe even first timers to harness racing because they're there to experience the country music festival and
And the track's in great condition. We have another track record on Sunday night. The 1980 Open Class track record was broken by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah,
and
that's good sign.
And we broke a 1609 track record. I think the meeting before as well. So the track's really performing at the moment. It was regraded with the road grader in December in preparation for this, and Pat Spence, our track curator, has done a great job. He's really proud of his track. So
yeah, they do a great job. Our track curators are the unsung heroes of our industry, I think. Mate, we'll make sure we get a photo of you in your face with your face painted up as a tiger or something like that. Whatever you got planned. So best of luck with the race, mate. We can't wait to see it all unfold.
Yeah, righto. Okay, right. We'll catch you here on Friday night.
Good on you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, some good racing, guys. I think we're going to see some good racing. The heats were good, weren't they?
Well, they were, and you've got some really decent horses that have come up from Sydney. Jared Altrin's got a couple. Graham Dwyer has brought Surf Ace. We just touched on. He was the horse that Michael was alluding to. Broke the record there in the first race, first use of the track, and broke a record. Bernie Hewitt. So a lot of the big names are there. So if you're doing it, and again we'll touch on it a bit later, but Fantasy Harness, keep an eye on that because the trade window's closing. So you might want to have a look at those drivers or those horses that have qualified.
How was it going through those heats the other night, Gracie? There was good racing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The heats are the hardest bit. You had to run 1-2 to get in there, and unfortunately I had a couple of things go wrong in mine, but those horses that did win and run second, put in a solid effort, and coming into the final, it looks like a really strong field, and I can't wait to watch who crosses the line first because I think it'll be a really interesting race. The bloke we talked about a bit in this podcast, the mayor of Tamworth, Tommy Hyson, was at it again, wasn't he, Jess?
He was. 4 winners again on the card. We know he just is so dominant up there. I think he's definitely one to be considering for your fantasy harness racing teams this week, especially with double points on offer, but another fantastic effort from Tom.
Okay, all right. Well, good luck to the Tamworth Club. Carnival at Cups is a fantastic thing that we do here in New South Wales. I was at Tamora last weekend. They put on a great night, really good patronage from the locals. It's only a small town, and I reckon most people were there, and it was great. They were all there. They were having a great time. They ran out of beer, which is always a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Good sign.
Not a good thing, but a good sign.
It was late in the night, but I even heard club officials yelling out that they needed the raspberry UDL because that was all that was left. So,
right.
So when you're moving on to the raspberry,
when you're on
drinks,
the pre-mixes, gee,
I think that's a good sign in those
night.
country towns that they've done pretty well over the bar. So they put on a really good show. Now let's have a look at some of the other racing that's going on, Jess. Here at Menangle on Saturday night, it felt like business as usual had returned, and we saw the New Year's Gift final. Big race. Brian Portelli come out and won it with Tasty Delight.
Yeah, that was a very exciting win for Brian. He saluted from a fair way out, and you could tell how much that win meant to him. That horse hadn't started in a race since September 2021 in a 3-year-old Breeders' Challenge heat, and he come out in the heat of the New Year's Gift final the week before. He unfortunately lost that on protest, but he made up for it in the final, and he set the 150.5 mark. I think he's definitely a horse to watch into the future and has an exciting few months coming up.
Freddie, I know you weren't calling Saturday night. I know you would have cast an eye over what was going on, though. I reckon there would have been a slight level of envy that you weren't getting to call a race that had Spirit of St. Louis just holding on with Max Shard, and you had Pete Said So, a horse that we've talked about a bit in the podcast through the Inter-Dominion, and obviously the Black Prince, high calibre race.
Yeah, it was, and it was good to see Spirit of St. Louis bounce back. Max Shard, I thought, was sensational and very strong through the line, and Pete Said So has carried on that form that he delivered through the Inter-Dominion Carnival. So that augurs well for what lay ahead for him as we are about to launch into our own Miracle Mile Carnival, the Carnival of Miracles. But yeah, it was a great race, and 156 for Spirit of St. Louis. Good to see him back, and Jack, of course, sitting in the gig.
It was a bit of a different race pattern for Spirit of St. Louis. Sort of got to the front and held on. We haven't seen that a great deal from
not as recent, but you go back when, maybe, I'm trying to think, 18 months maybe, he could race up on the top. But I think we've become accustomed to seeing him get pretty ordinary draws in a lot of the big races, particularly through the Carnival in Victoria. So, yeah, I think they had the opportunity to drive him the way they did, and it paid off.
Double for Jack Callaghan on that program too. He had a really good week, which is reflected through his fantasy harness racing. Luke McCarthy, we don't see him a great deal, particularly on a Tuesday anymore. When he turns up with a fleet on a Saturday night, that he's probably going to deliver something, and he turned up and went whack, treble at Menangle on Saturday night. He had an interview, first start in New South Wales for Anton Galina. He also had Ferry Tinkerbell and Kingmaker. Grace, when Luke McCarthy turns up, you probably know that you might see some winners.
Yeah, you don't see him drive really often as much anymore. So when you do, you think, he's going to go down here. But, every time he does drive, he just delivers, like you said. And there's no one I look up to more than Luke, or the male drivers anyway. And, he just, every time he gets on, the horses are happy, the horses run, and he usually wins. So, every time he drives, I'll watch him.
Do you think, Freddie, that we've seen Cam, we've seen Jack, we've seen all these young punks come along and sort of leapfrog Luke when it comes to premiership pecking orders? Do you think, because there were some comments from Luke recently where he said we will see him a bit more. Yeah. Has a light bulb been flicked and he's like, no, hang on. I am going to turn up a bit more here at Menangle, and I wouldn't mind having that premiership back in 2023.
Look, he is without doubt. You mentioned some of the great young drivers we've got. Luke is probably still, pound for pound, the best driver in New South Wales. That's just my opinion. My opinion only. However, I don't know that it was more that than he had campaigned in Victoria, Christmas hit. Yeah, we don't see him quite as much on the Tuesday meetings. But again, having said that, he had a fair few drives at Penrith from memory on Thursday. So look, I think it's all swings and roundabouts when the horses are there, and the way things work out. We'll see Luke, but I still think he's he's one of the best in the business without any doubt, despite the emergence of these, as you called them, the young Turks that have come through the ranks and are challenging.
I still reckon Jesse wouldn't mind having that premiership back.
I definitely
put a few of those young blokes in their place.
Absolutely. I think, like Freddie said, I have to agree with his opinion there. Luke is still the best, and we've definitely seen some emerging talent, but when Luke's here and consistently here, he's so dominant.
He's just got an aura about him. He's just got this calmness when he's in the bike, and horses just look so comfortable when he's got hold of them. And I thought no more apt than the way he drove Interview. Interview just looked nice and relaxed. He let Interview roll up the track a little bit when he came into the straight. First look at the track. I just thought he's just a gun.
Yeah, he had a handful of horse there with Max Shard too.
Oh, well,
absolutely
we'll get to him later.
Sizzling, yeah, absolutely. Jack Trainer came back from a little holiday, and it was like he just jumped back on the bike and said, this is how you do it. He had a double there. So, he's a weapon here at Menangle, particularly on a Saturday night. Jack Trainer, he just gets it done. What about your mate Hannah Rickson? Hey, Jess.
Yeah,
double at Penrith.
Fantastic
turned up
night.
And said, here I am, and have some of this.
She went very close to a treble as well. The third horse for Tony Birtwistle just was beaten half a neck, but a nice Rickson family double there. Both horses were trained by her father, Peter, and Cindy, her mum, owns them both. So they would have been a very happy Rickson household.
They do that a lot there, don't they, Jess, at Penrith? The Ricksons keep it all in the family, Cindy... and Peter, and then so the kids are in the good books for that week anyway.
That same program, I think we're only 2 weeks into 2023, and we might have seen the best story of the year already. Steph Morris came out and won. She got a double late on that program, 2 weeks after having one of the most horrific-looking falls that I've seen. What a great story. Yeah, just brilliant, Freddie.
It was a horrid-looking fall. I wasn't calling. I was watching the race live, and I thought that looked really bad.
Yeah.
And I messaged Steph the next day, and she said, look, she's sore, but she's going to be fine. To come back 2 weeks later and big bubbles, no troubles, just drive a couple of winners.
Win one and then turn around and win another one.
Yeah,
and trained the second one as
well. I was quite
emotional,
just so tough for her.
Yeah.
I loved seeing it. Yeah, it was brilliant.
She was one of our early guests on the podcast.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another friend of the show is Grace Panella. She's sitting right here. Gracie, what are we going to do about Josh Gallagher at Newcastle? You run into this bloke every Friday night. He's just turning up and taking your races. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, he does. He drives very well, and
another 3 on Friday night.
Absolutely kills us there. And when we had COVID and they weren't allowed to come down, it was really good. You know, we got to have some of our races. But full credit to him. He works hard and he drives really well, and it really pays off when he comes down to Newcastle.
He sat here exactly where you are and said he's just got a love affair with that track. I mean, it's reflected in his results. I mean, you're probably going to love racing more where you win. I mean, I remember Will Rickson saying he loves Penrith. He wins there a lot. So it's, you know,
all have their favourites, Paul.
A natural synergy. But there's something about that track. Josh just owns it.
Dominates.
You know, and if we thought, I know we talked a lot about Josh's hot streak of form leading up to Christmas, and he just turned up again. It's like business as usual. He just turned up and said, no, this isn't stopping anytime soon, didn't he? So, yeah, absolute weapon. So are the Turnbulls. 6 of the 8 races at Bathurst on Wednesday night were won by a Turnbull. Now, that's not that unusual, but it was shared around. Amanda, Josh won 1, Nathan won 2, and Mitch won 2. Yeah. So, good luck if you're not a Turnbull.
I feel like you've got to change your name to
to
get on the scoreboard.
I know.
And if it's generally not a Turnbull, it's a
Hewitt.
Hewitt. So it's a tough school up in the Central West.
Yep. Well, there was a couple of, I think James Dean won a race, and
Arthur Clancy
won a race too. So we had a couple of, out of the regular kilter. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Mitchie, so 3 winners. As I mentioned, I was at Tamora on Saturday night. 3 winners on that card for Mitch. Well done. I love spending time with Mitch. He always makes me laugh. And he certainly was quick to remind us that, hey, I'm going all right here. I've started 2023 pretty well. So I know he's got a few side bets going on the fantasy game with a few people, and it's dealing in currency that is rather unusual. Pluto Pups, for example, is what's on the line with one of his mates. So, yeah, interesting cat, Mitch, but I really like the way he rolls. Nathan Turnbull doubles at Bathurst and Tamora. He, had that blockbuster season last year, Fred. He had 100 wins very early in the piece. Yep. Kept going way past 100.
It was a breakthrough season, Paul, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he deserved it because he was jumping in the float and going everywhere. Nothing was barred. It wasn't just he was sticking to his own backyard. He was bringing horses here. He was taking horses to Canberra, Goulburn, all over the place. Yeah. And he deserves all the success he gets for that.
Yep. No, it was great. And as I said, great crowd at Tamora. They stood on the edge of the track and cheered home all those. Sorry, I just dropped my pen if you heard what that was. Cheering home all the drivers as they came through, and there was no louder cheer than there was for Mark Hewitt when he won the Tamora Cup. Just a fantastic result.
He's a terrific bloke too.
Yeah. Thanks, Freddie.
Wonderful horseman as well. I know he does a lot with breaking in younger stock, and he always is so dominant out there in that region.
I went into the stables. I pulled my phone out and did a couple of interviews with him. Yeah. And unfortunately, one of the legacies of that Tamora track is that where there's a light, there's a bug. And because it was dark, we had him standing near a light. And after about 45 seconds, I said, "That'll do."
Bugs everywhere.
Particularly appreciate the
Grace loves moths too.
The insect influx that I was experiencing. Nor did Mark. So, but yeah, great result, and he was super happy with that. I think it's his first Tamora Cup, and he was really happy. Mighty Joe did. It was a close finish. He wasn't sure if he had it. He thought might have gone his way, but it was a close finish, and great that we're getting eyeballs on our Carnival of Cups product. And as I said, it moves to Tamworth this Friday night for their Golden Guitar meeting. All right. So best thing you saw this week, Jess, what do you got for us?
Yeah, look, we spoke about him earlier in the show, but I couldn't go past the win of Brian Portelli and Tasty Delight. In the New Year's gift, they had to do it the tradesman way. He sat without cover, and after being so long off and only his second start back, he was absolutely incredible, and I'm excited to continue to see him as the months go on.
Full disclosure, we get here a bit earlier to discuss tactics and the show and what we're going to... And Jess said, what's the best thing you saw? And I said... Without doubt, Tasty Delight. I said this horse won a Group 1. He sort of lost his way a little bit, and to have him come back after a long layoff, and she said, "Well, that's mine. You can't have that." So I'm going to nominate Interview. I thought just to see it do what it did here. An outstanding horse, French bred, 7 straight, real nice horse. Interview.
French bread. I love French bread. It's beautiful.
You like French toast?
My favourite type of bread. Yeah, the baguette.
That was baguette.
Someone said to me once, "Can you do a ciabatta?" And they did the impression of Chewbacca on Star Wars. It was a pretty ordinary dad joke in play.
Yeah,
but
true
anyway.
that.
What about you? What about you, Gracie? What do you got for us? What's the best thing you saw this week?
I thought I was in the all clear when you decided you agree on the same one, but I have to go with Fred and the Anton Galina trained Interview. It's good to sit behind a trotter, but to watch a trotter like that to go 156 over 2300 was just absolutely insane. It looked like he done it really easy, and the future looks really bright, and I can't wait to see what he does with it in the future.
Look, Mac Shard was a real eye-opener. Whether it's the best thing I saw this week or not, but I thought it was a real eye-opener.
Oh, Freddie's, you'll wait and see later in the show why Freddie's pulling a face right now, but
It's all right.
everything's getting taken
You
from you, Fred.
you think you find a sneaky one, whether it's the best thing you saw or the black booker, and everyone else is on the same page.
I love seeing people just grassroots country racing at Tamora the other night, just getting around it. It was one of those real hot, balmy kind of nights, and people were just having a good laugh. It was like that still in holiday mode.
Yeah.
As I said, the bar ran dry. There was plenty of food. They were enjoying the racing and just appreciating each other's companies. People there with picnic blankets, using the nice grass bank. It was everything that I love about what harness racing can deliver in the region. So, yeah, fantastic. All right, well, Fantasy Harness Racing is lockouts at 1 p.m. If you're listening live to the podcast, what are you doing? You should be playing with your fantasy team instead of, or maybe you could do both.
I think they should be listening to us.
Maybe you could do both. Well, maybe they're listening to us to try and get some advice. How'd you go, Jess?
Yeah, don't get advice from me. I think I'm sitting in the high 500s.
That's all right.
I did hit about 700 and something at one point, but it's a long distance race.
It is.
It's not a flying K. You want to take your time and wind up late, I think.
It is. All right, how'd you go, Freddie?
I was very lazy and I didn't do any real research because I've been away, as you know. And I come into the round before the lockout, and I left my team as I'd picked it back pre-Christmas. So I didn't know that there were a few drivers driving interstate and so forth. Hindsight's wonderful. I've made sure I've done some trades this week already, but I'm 335. So I'm it's a Melbourne Cup, isn't it?
Exactly right.
It's a Hunter Cup. It's not a Miracle Mile. So I've got plenty of time to find my feet and get home late.
Bring a driver's perspective to this conversation, Grace. What's it like? You're obviously a very prominent person when it comes to the fantasy harness racing for us, and we love it. Thank you. You've taken on an ambassador role, and you've been one of the faces of the game. Fantastic. What's it like being up for sale?
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's brand new for you guys.
Yeah, look, my price tag being $915,000, the pressure's on.
Argument.
No, definitely not. I thought it was a little bit overpriced, but after everybody else's results, I was going really good, and then Friday night rolled around, and I sort of let my own team down. So it was time to up my game after my holiday, and hopefully I can get to the high tens would be nice, but hundreds will do for me for now.
You're not copping any trialling, are you? And this is the thing: if you're listening to this podcast and you think it's appropriate to trial a driver, not about fantasy, about anything.
Yeah.
You're a Muppet, pull your head in, and we're not going to stand for it. I've already seen some drivers say that a few people have.
Serious?
If it's in jest and it's a good fun. There's plenty of banter flying around on social media when it comes to fantasy harness racing, and I've seen it been in a really, really fun, jovial way. And some of our drivers are really bought in. Blake Jones has been excellent on it. Outside of that, if you've backed a horse and you're not happy with the drive, don't take it out on the driver. Ridiculous. Anyway, there's my little soapbox moment. So, Gracie, I told you before the show, I said, you're in my team, but you're on notice. There you go. There's my trial. So's Blake. But good things are coming, aren't they?
Oh, hope so. You know, I'm going to aim high again this year, and hopefully I can one up what I did last year.
Yeah, all right. Who was the best performer for you in your team in week 1?
Robbie, I had him as my captain.
Good,
And, I just thought he'd be a really good asset because he does the travel, he does the miles, and you look here on a Tuesday and if he's not the favourite, he's always in the field, and when he comes to Newcastle, they kill us there. So some valuable points when he comes to Newcastle and Penrith on a Thursday night. They take quite a big team, and he was the dominant one in my team.
Well, he's unavailable this week. He's got a week off.
Traded him out.
I
Josh
traded him
in.
out. I said all along, Josh and Robbie were a must, I thought, to try and fit them in there because of the fact that they're always at Penrith, 2 meetings a week here, and they are always at Newcastle. So, but I've traded Robbie out like you, Jess, because he's sitting out this week. So I put a pretty handy driver in called Luke McCarthy.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
So you didn't ask me how I went.
Yeah.
Well, how did you go? I know how you went, and I was going to skip over it. But, Yeah, Paul, how did you go? Did you are you in the top 100?
I dropped in that last race. I dropped significantly in that last race.
Yeah, where'd you go? Down to 700, 900?
No, I dropped from 2nd to 5th.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop.
So I said to you guys, but I said to you guys, didn't I, before?
Yeah.
I was 4 points behind the leader with 1 race to go, the last race at Tamora. And I thought, oh no, I can't. This will be really embarrassing for the game if it's me winning the round. And, you know, to anyone listening, and please don't think that I'm some expert when it comes to harness racing. I obviously had just a lucky week. But fortunately, a gent named Troy McDonald, we spoke to him on the Fantasy Harness Racing podcast yesterday. I tell you what, he might be tough to beat. He's a real form student and ex-driver, and was crunching numbers and doing all sorts of stuff, and he's pretty switched on, Troy. So anyway, he had Mitch Turnbull, who won the last race, and I didn't have Mitch, so that got him a bit higher up. Another thing that he did, and we talked about this in the fantasy podcast yesterday, was he had Brianna Lindsay sitting there as his reserve.
Yep.
She won a race and she had another race, so she got 11 points. He had Tommy Callaghan in his team who didn't race during the week, so he got a 0, which meant his reserve point supplied. Cautionary tale to people, like, don't take your reserve lightly because there'll be weeks where you need it, you know, and Freddie's got Brianna sitting there, so he got Brianna's points. So if you don't, like that 11 points has helped Troy get up into
that. That's the difference because I think
Mick Harvey's second.
He was 14 behind. So
that's Mick Harvey's team. Go Racing.
Go Racing. Well,
the fluorescent yellow.
God bless.
Mick Harvey is one of the owners of King of Swing. And he's got Captain Me as well. So
and others.
Surface as well.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So anyway. We had a surge in registration numbers in the 48 hours over the weekend. Yep. So that's really encouraging. Obviously, people have seen it. They've been talking about it. They kind of hearing a little bit more and they want in. That's a really good sign. If you haven't got a team in yet, like you can still do it.
Absolutely.
You know, you can get a team in because there's a $250 Harvey Norman voucher up each week for the leading scorer each week, and I don't think anyone's that far gone that you couldn't catch them over 25 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 21 points top 5 where you're sitting, so 1st to 5th. But then if you scroll down, top 20, the 20th person is only about 40 odd points away.
Yep.
So if you get in now and try and beat the lockout to get in for round 2, so you've got about an hour and 2 minutes by my quick reckoning. If you register and get involved, you know, and you have a good week and you shop diligently, you could be right up there, not giving away that much start. Get involved.
Yep. The other thing is, this is brand new tech. This has been custom built from scratch to create a game, and there might be technical issues. We've had some. In the last 24 hours, we've had a fairly unforeseen major glitch. We've managed to, get the hamsters on the wheel and go overnight and all yesterday. We got it fixed, so it's up and running in time for the 1 p.m. lockout today. But there's a chance there might be some technical glitches along the way. We know there was a couple of scoring issues in the run, but mostly it's worked pretty good. Scores are coming up within literally a couple of minutes of a race finishing. The leaderboard was activated on Saturday night, so people could start to see where they were in the pecking order. People having conversations about harness racing, and they're paying attention to drivers. And the other thing is, a feature race at Menangle is just as important as race 5 at Tamworth on Saturday night. They carry the same amount of points, and people have got to pay attention to all these things, and that's really ultimately what we want. We want eyeballs on our product. I know you drivers have got around it, haven't they, Grace?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing you do say to someone now is, "How you going on the fantasy?" But it's become a really hot topic around the races, especially close to my family. I had to help Mum because she's hopeless with technology, and I know she was one of the first people to comment saying, "What's going on with my points?" So the word's getting around, and it's really good to hear.
You've been out there in the colours. I actually was watching you score up at must have been at Newcastle the other night. You were scoring up, and you were having a chat with Robbie Morris in the score up, and in my mind I'm thinking, I bet they're talking about fantasy harness races more than they probably were. That's where I went, with it. So you probably
were. I was. I was just telling him he really needs to up his game.
I love the sledge.
Love it. All right. Hey, guys, Horse of the Year Awards coming up. The nominees, we can exclusively reveal the nominees for the Horse of the Year Awards. So, Freddie and Jess, you're on the voting panel for this, so I'm not going to sort of pick your mind on any sort of opinion on it. Obviously, there's we want the credibility of the awards and the integrity of it to run strong. There's a voting panel made up primarily of people in the media and in and around the racing industry who sit on the peripheral as eyeballs, which you guys definitely are. You bring a lot of high credentialed opinion to our sport, so you're a really valuable asset to the voting panel. Our race callers, for example, our racing media and our scribes, they'll be voting on this, but the shortlist for Horse of the Year has been will be live on the Harness Racing New South Wales website and the socials today. Now, there's plenty of categories. I thought we'd have a look at some of the more prominent ones. So, Age Trotter of the Year, the one that stood out to me, Caligula's nominated. You're guilty, and I had nothing to do with it. So. I know any long-time listeners of this show would know that, that's somehow become my favourite horse just by a continual narrative. So, Caligula, Queen of Strathfield, Sunny G, Tough Monarch, and What's Up Majestic. So some really, really solid trotters in that age trotter category. Age Mare, Pacer of the Year, Fairy Tinkerbell, Little Bliss, Orchid Stride, Total Diva, and Yarraman Bella. So great field there. The Age Entire Gelding Pacer of the Year. This is an elite field. I Cast No Shadow, King of Swing, Majestic Cruiser, Spirit of St. Louis, Zeus Bromac. Good luck, you guys. You've got to vote on that. That is a seriously credentialed field of nominees, Fred.
Yeah, look, I thought some of those categories that you just read out were from, in my mind, fairly clear cut. Some of the categories you didn't mention, I thought were pretty open, like the 3-year-old pacing filly, Captain Me, Ideal in Dreams, Madrid, Soho, Rhapsody and Steno.
Tough.
And the 2-year-old Colton Gelding, Better Be the Best, Captain Richie, Captain's Knock, Sweetheart, Barton, Tardelli. They're hard because you've got to break right down as a judge, and I'm speaking for Jess, if I say the wrong thing, whack me, but you've really got to drill down to the performances and take so much into consideration.
Each run is so important.
It's really important. So the categories that and that field for the aged entire gelding pacer of the year. That's just elite. You got an Inter Dominion winner, a Miracle Mile winner. Majestic Cruiser was amazing. Spirit of St. Louis. Zeus Bromac won the free for all. Great credentialed horses. It's not easy.
What about that 3-year-old Colton Gelding pacer of the year? Black Onyx, Mahomes, My Ultimate Baxter, My Ultimate Ronnie, and Rip.
Yep, we discussed that before we went
before the show. Yeah,
seriously tough categories to vote on. So good luck, guys. But if you're interested in all the nominees, they'll be up on the Harness Racing New South Wales website today. Really excited to see how that all plays out. Of course, the Harness Racing New South Wales Awards will be here at Country Club Benangle, actually, on the 26th of February. So we'll know who the winners of all those events are. That'll be wrapped in and around the carnival as well with the Miracle Mile. So that's going to be a really exciting time of year. Can't wait to see how that all plays out and to see everyone in the room as well, all the nominees and who gets awards. They're always fun nights to be part of, aren't they, Jess?
Yeah, they're great nights. And
actually, it'll be a day.
It'll
be a day.
It'll be a great afternoon then. But it's just great to recognise the talent that we have here in New South Wales, and the list of every single nominee just shows how strong our racing here is in the state. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, guys, one of the great things that we've spoken a little bit about it in this podcast last year was obviously we saw the devastation that hit through the middle of New South Wales with Eugowra and Forbes and Cowra and several of our not just racing clubs, but towns. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about towns and communities, aren't we? And people so adversely affected by it. Grace, you're one of our incredibly warm-hearted drivers who've volunteered your time, your headspace, but also financial resources to help out these people. There's some great initiatives going on, but why was it so important for you to support those causes?
Oh, look, if I was in that position, any help would be greatly appreciated. And I think I summed up 8 winners in total, which was $450 donated. But just crossing the line first just felt extra special, for those people that were really in need. And I was really quick to say, yes, I want to do that because, like I said, if that was me in that position, any help was greatly appreciated. And I've seen a couple of photos from Michael himself, and things look to be on the up at the moment. But yeah, just the mess that it was absolutely horrible to see.
Yeah, I spoke to Michael Dumacy, and it's Michael Dumacy that you're referring to, and Michael's really taken it on board to lead a cause outside of the what we're doing at Harness Racing New South Wales and what other industry groups are doing. He did make mention that you actually rang him and said, I want in. You were one of the first people to ring up and say, I want to help. So, and you're not alone. A lot of people did that, but you're one of the first ones that rang him up. So, well done. I just think it's a beautiful spirit that we've got among our industry. And our drivers have done amazing things.
And I'm proud of Mick because I've known Mick for a long time, Michael, and he's passionate about not just harness racing. He's passionate about life. He loves football. He loves his kids. He's just a passionate guy, and he's clearly put his heart and his soul into this, and it's shone through in all the socials that we've read about it. And I'm proud of Mick because he's really stepped up and driven this.
Absolutely. Look, a few things so Grace mentioned, that money equated to wins. So a lot of drivers have obviously contributed as a result of that. Josh Galley had 19 winners in that period of time, and I know, and Josh would never tell anyone this. He's dug into his pocket outside of that and said, here's a bit more, and that as well. And we're not talking some small amounts either.
Yeah. Quality human being.
Yeah, absolutely. So done really well there. I know that there's been a handful of drivers have worn special colours. I think they're in the colours of the Eugowra Rugby League team.
I think they are. Yeah, and I think Mick
that,
as
which
well
is a great
put
initiative.
a thing out for people to do a salute, and I seen a couple up there at Dubbo and Parks that saluted, and you know how much that would have meant to everyone back in the Eugowra community watching.
Absolutely. I know he told me that, and it's just a ballpark, but they're in excess of about 40 grand.
Wow,
brilliant, just absolutely brilliant, and they've done it in a way where they've turned it into say like food vouchers and that as well. So there's a value that goes on all that on top of that. So there's a big auction and fundraising night in Parks on the 3rd of February at the Coachman Hotel. So if you can get along and be part of that, there's some great things up for grabs. Now, Freddie, I know this would be one that you would love to get your hands on. Cameron Murray, the great South Sydney Rabbitoh and, Australian Rugby League lock forward.
Great player. He'd look better in red, white and blue, but keep going.
His grand final jumper from 2021. I know that Michael's picking it up today.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of the items up for grabs. He wore it in a grand final.
Yeah. Look, as you know, being a Rooster supporter, not keen on Souths, but Cameron Murray is a quality player, and doing that's a big thing. Giving away your grand final jersey. He's an Origin player. He was their captain, was he not? Last season, I have a feeling. So it's a great get if you're a Souths fan.
Yep.
Bid up because you got to get there and bid for that. I won't be bidding for it with the greatest of respect because it's just against my religion.
I know that Jared Croker's donated a stack of rugby league memorabilia.
Another good harness man.
And he's got a lot of the boys in and around it as well, donating different stuff. I know there's a fully paid 5-night trip to Marimbula as well. So there's some really cool stuff that you can get at that auction.
And when's that? The 3rd of...
3rd of February at the Coachman Hotel in Parks. So
good job.
Mick.
Mick said to point out there's accommodation available in the motel at the back of that particular establishment as well. So if you want to roll into that after what I anticipate might be a significantly large night.
All jokes aside, well done to Cameron Murray. I think that's a great gesture.
Yeah, brilliant. And if you are listening and you feel like you want to donate or whatever, just reach out. There's plenty of people who will be more than happy to take your call or your text message or whatever and let you know ways that you can assist in that initiative. All right, Gracie, now you're driving in the first race today, aren't you?
Yep.
All right, so we better make this quick. Freddie, you're calling it, so we better make this quick. But your harness racing pedigree is as good as it gets. It's run right through your family. Like, tell us a bit about how you got started.
I grew up riding horses. My sister was a show rider, and I'd go there to watch. And I can't say I was a very good rider myself because I was absolutely terrible. But I think Lauren was 16, and she got involved with a trainer named Josh Ball. He was only a hobbyist at the time, and instantly she fell in love. And I would get picked up early just to go and watch her race. And I went every week, and I just loved it. And I said to her one day, I really want to do this. And she's like, no, you don't. But no, I did. And when she met Shane and started working at Keenbar, I'd go out there as often as I could. And next thing I knew, I was leaving school and decided to do it full time. And I haven't looked back since.
All right. So for those who didn't cotton on, that's Lauren Tritton and Shane Tritton, who obviously were so successful.
Incredible run.
Not just here in New South Wales, but from at a national level and are now doing wonderful things over in America. So obviously Big Sister sort of laid the platform and that. How much has that been a help, or has it been a hindrance, or what is it? Because you're following some pretty significant footsteps.
Yeah, well, she set a pretty high bar, but she's always there to support me. There's some sort of she picks on me a little bit, but
I reckon she's listening right now too. So
I did tell her
you
I was on the way.
Hey, you got a little barb to throw out. G'day, Lauren.
She's always there to help, and I'll ring her and say, oh, what did I do wrong, or what can I do better? And she's always there to help, so I couldn't think of anyone else to learn off, and she's a big help. All
right, well, we're fascinated by your journey because you represented New South Wales last year at the Australian, what do we call it, Young Stars in
Australian
Drivers Championships. That's it. So what was that like? I know obviously I touched base with you in the lead up to it, and we were doing some media around it, and you're pretty happy with yourself. You're really proud of that achievement, weren't you?
Yeah, I definitely was, especially at my age. Not many drivers get to do this, have this opportunity, and for me to get the phone call off John was pretty special, and I was very quick to take it up. And then I had a race fall, and everything just was put on slow-mo for a little bit there, and I was ringing up doctors every 2 minutes saying, give me clearance, but they ended up saying I had a stable fracture and I was able to go, and honestly I had happy tears coming out, and the excitement boarding that plane to go there was pretty surreal.
Yeah, just brilliant. It was brilliant.
During your younger days, you were a very successful mini trot participant. What importance do you place on that in the foundations of your career in harness racing?
Sportsmanship was a big thing. You're going to lose, you're going to win, and you're going to fall at some stage. So, sportsmanship was a really big thing, patience and just, listening to your horses and things like that. They can only do so much, and 99% of horses will go out there and do their absolute best. But, yeah, definitely sportsmanship was a big thing for me.
You touched on Lauren's involvement in mentoring you, and obviously you touched on a little earlier that you have great admiration for Luke McCarthy. Darren Binskin gave you your first Metro winner, which wasn't all that long ago when we look back now. He, of course, has also been a terrific mentor for you over the years.
I'm glad you brought that up because I probably would have got in trouble. But, he was a great mentor, especially for Lauren as well.
Yeah.
He definitely points out my wrongs, but, it always hypes me up when I do the right. So, where I am today, without Clayton, of course, I wouldn't be where I am. And his opportunities, my first winner, my first Metro, and he's putting me...
he's got one. You got one for him today. Who's a chance?
In the last race, Arabella Star, she... without his opportunities, I wouldn't be where I am today.
That was elite, that drive Grace pulled out that day.
Absolutely was. We talked about it on the show, I believe.
Darren was waxing lyrical about how she executed that race plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think for memory, he gave specific instructions, and pretty much his words were, you followed them to the letter.
Yeah.
So, or you'd probably dare not to follow them to the letter, I would imagine.
It was win or don't come off the track.
So what rein do you get then? Like, obviously you got instructions to follow, and you're engaged to do a job, but how much leeway is there then to say, oh, look, plan A's not quite working here? Are trainers and owners a little bit more sort of lenient? You go, well, plan A is not really working. I need to go to plan B and think on my feet real quick here. Are you given that opportunity to make that call?
Yeah, working for Clayton, you learn that pretty quick. He gives you an instruction, he goes, well, if things go wrong, well, then it's all up to you, and that's one important thing about being a driver is you've got to know your own way. And if your trainer's plan doesn't go to plan, well, then you're all on your own. So
you're constantly thinking of alternatives, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. That's one huge thing being, like, especially a young driver, is your quick thinking. And you watch with a couple of these older drivers, and if you want to hold the front, well, then you get taken on. Well, then you got to either grab up or keep going. So, plan B is a really big thing.
Is there anything you can do to, outside of sitting behind a horse, to fast track your mind, like mind skills and that? Have you ever, does anyone do that sort of thing? I mean, I know that's a very 2023 kind of way of being ready to race, but is there any merit in something like that?
Well, I don't know. I know I nearly failed my cognitive test. So
you can't fail the cognitive test.
Oh, I was very, very close to then. It was sort of, when I very first started, I'd go out there, I was so nervous, my mind was sort of in slow-mo, but as confidence come along, it's gotten a little bit better, and I don't panic as much. But I sort of kept myself out of trouble. But I can't really talk. I'm about to go on holidays, so. But that is a really big thing. Is your mental state when you're out there, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Look here, you're going places, Grace. You just got your 100th winner sort of later last year.
Big season, wasn't it, for Grace? 78 winners last year. Just an incredible season.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one last question? How much banter goes on you and your partner, Blake? How is there a bit of sledge going on there when you're competing?
There's no love on the track, so there's a bit of banter, and I love when I beat him, and he sure makes known that he loves when he beats me.
You,
so.
yeah. Love it.
Nah, it's excellent. Good to see you getting more Metro drives here too. Obviously, I know you talked about Clayton, and you guys have struck up a great partnership, trainer-driver. Success follows those type of relationships. I'm sure it's more than just the horse itself. That dynamic needs to be spot on. You guys have certainly got it in spades, going places with that. Great to see you here, though. And, I think we're going to see more. I mean, I'm jumping to conclusions, but I think we'll see more of this young lady in 2023 on Tuesdays and Saturdays, won't we?
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, Gracie. Well, today, what chances have you got? So you got a handful of drives, don't you, today?
Yeah, 3, and I'm not giving away anything, but I think they're all in with a good hope. All of them are super consistent. The trotter in the first, he does a couple of things wrong, but with age, he's getting a lot better.
8 races today, Freddie?
Yeah, 8 races. Grace mentioned the horse in the first race, the trotter, Walkabout Cascade. It's sort of in the market. thereabouts, and then of course has got in the last race Arabella Star for Darren Binskin. It's in the market, and there is a third one which I did write down before the show started, Captain Dorian for Lily Hosking. So a bit of a hunter connection there. But yeah, good program, and looking forward to being back behind the 1050s for the first time in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to hearing your dulcet tones laying the soundtrack to some great racing this afternoon. It's a unique week. We've got our racing normal schedule kind of looks a little bit different this week. We've got Wagga tonight. Dubbo is the Wednesday meeting, Jess.
Oh, Bathurst, yeah.
Yeah. So, Bathurst then is on Friday. So we've got Penrith Thursday, which is sort of business as usual. Wagga Friday afternoon. Friday's jam-packed. It's going to be great racing. We've got Wagga on Friday afternoon. We've got Bathurst and Tamworth running concurrently on Friday night. Obviously, we talked a little bit at the top of the show about Tamworth, their Carnival Cups meeting. It's going to be great. We're going to have the great drivers there. The qualifiers have been sensational, and the rest of the race program we heard from Michael Jones is going to be really good. So looking forward to that. Broken Hill's got a non-tab meeting on Saturday. Canberra's on Monday, and then obviously we're back here on Tuesday. But Saturday night, Jess, should be a good night of racing here Saturday night too.
Yeah, fields will be out later this afternoon, but it features the $50,000 JL Wraith Memorial, proudly sponsored by Harness Breeders New South Wales. So I know that's a time-honoured classic for the 3-year-old fillies, and I'm sure there'll be a good field lineup with potentially an Oaks Berth later in February.
And Ego will be going around, expensive Ego. So another draw card.
Yeah, should be fantastic. All right, so plenty of racing. It feels really cool to be back in the chair and talking to you gibberers. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, likewise. Except for Grace. Grace isn't a gibberer.
No, it's good having our drivers that we can bring through the show. It's important to be able to do that.
And without embarrassing Grace, she said she was a bit nervous and wasn't sure. You know, you've done a great job.
Fantastic
so well done.
job.
Thanks for coming on.
It's good stuff. All right, Jess, you were an absolute star when it came to identifying horses to watch in 2022. So the pressure's on. People listen to this podcast for this segment. What is Jess tipping?
I'm heading back down with a bit of hashtag Riverina form, back down to Wagga tonight. Imperious for Trevor White. Last start it ripped home, and it recorded the quickest final 2 quarters of the race. And Pete McRae jumps aboard tonight in race 2, and hopefully I can kick off 2023 with a winner.
Okay. I can't for the life of me think what you're going to talk about, Freddie.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. It stole my thunder, but gee, I like the way Max Shard hit the line on Saturday, and there's a win just around the corner for that horse. So follow Max Shard, but certainly hashtag Riverina form. It was Jess's happy hunting ground last year in season 1 of the podcast, and she's hoping to kick it off with a bang in 2023.
Happy days. Got one for us to keep an eye out on, Grace?
Ooh, I've had a pretty busy week, but just by watching Sunday at Tamworth, Surface's performance was huge, breaking the track record over 1980, and I look forward to seeing him in the final.
Absolutely. All right. Well, to everyone who's tuned in for season 2, we're in, guys. So we stopped.
Do we get a pay rise? Do we get a pay rise seeing we made it to season 2?
We got invited back to season 2.
Oh, that's the reward. Okay, all right. I'll stop talking now.
It's like if you put in fantasy harness racing terms, you put the captain's band on Tom Callaghan, you get 0. So how's that?
Okay, thank you. Do I get to wear flashy colours?
Hey, speaking of colours, I've got them in the room. We've got leaders' jerseys. So like the Tour de France, where they wear the yellow jersey if you're the leading rider of each stage or whatever, we've got a leaders jersey that we're going to put the leading point scoring driver in each week, and that was Jack Callaghan. We didn't mention that before. Jack Callaghan got 77 points in fantasy last week, so if I can persuade him to wear the colours, he'll be in them later today. It's a beautiful hot pink number that is really going to pop on the track, but it's a status symbol. As I said to Jack, it's only one get to wear it each week, and he's earned it. He's the leading scoring points driver of the round. So look forward to that. You've got about 38 minutes to get your team sorted for fantasy harness racing. If you haven't done it yet, or to get a team registered, get in, have a bit of fun. Enjoy the ride over the 6 race meetings that make up fantasy harness racing. Enjoy the racing. Jess, great to see you. Freddie, good luck this afternoon.
See you later, Paul.
Gracie, drive well, 3 drives, and then you've got who knows what's coming up. We don't know yet, but we look forward to seeing your journey. And you'll be if you got a little bit of stint on the sidelines, then you'll be back bigger and better than ever after that. I would have thought
honing her skills on fantasy harness racing.
Yeah, look for that team. What your team's just
You in
your
the
name,
league?
isn't it?
What?
Your team name's just your name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real creative. It's brilliant.
Whoa.
I think I was the same.
Stop. A lot of that.
Sorry, Commissioner.
The commish. Look
Sound
out.
like a wrestler, don't it?
commish.
I don't know. Everyone out there listening, thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed episode 1 of season 2 of the Sprint Lane. We love bringing it to you. If you're tuning in, give us a follow, give us a share, tell everyone about it. We want to keep growing the sport and the product and the conversation around harness racing. We love having you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back same time next week. All right, guys, I will see you then. I'll see you then, Freddie. And Grace, someone else will be sitting in your chair. We hope, if we haven't offended anyone else too much in this show, or I have. But we look forward to getting another driver in during the week. To everyone tuning in, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.